and then you hang it in your closet, makes your clothes smell good.
Really?
Why you gonna go ahead when they quit talking?
Item number one is the digital signs. At the last committee meeting, we discussed the digital signs for a few minutes. I passed around a very rough draft. Council asked that I add two modifications to it. One being that if a sign is non-conforming, that it must be brought into conforming before a permit's issued. And the other is that a penalty section be added. Now, I didn't bring it with me tonight. I don't think I have it. Yeah, I do have it attached to the ordinance, so I added those to the request for legislation. So what I'd like to do tonight is just pass this through for approval of the committee, and then it goes for a first reading and then to a planning commission meeting. All right. So if everyone is interested in the document in the future, they can make changes in training, give public statements and stuff like that. So it's at least ready to go through the process.
Get started anyway.
That's right.
This doesn't mean we'll have digital signs, but it does mean that the process will begin to consider that.
So what are the details of the fines?
The details of the fines are, you're guilty of a minor misdemeanor, and you can pay up to $500 a day for each day that you are not in compliance. Being a misdemeanor means you can also be taken to court, go before a judge, have to pay all those fines. In addition to that, we have authority to remove the sign if it has to be removed as a last resort, at the owner's expense to build them for it.
Any other highlights in this section we need to?
Right now, those are the only two changes I made since I presented the original draft. As I said, though, we've got plenty of time to review it, to make additional changes, add things, change things, modify things, whatever you'd like to do. We just throw the whole thing out. This is just to get the ball rolling on the process. Yep.
John did it, so it's right and perfect.
Yes, it is.
This throws it to planning commission for ideas.
After the first reading, it goes to the planning commission.
Yeah.
So
So we'll probably take it up like in
January.
I don't need anything, no. He's just always been.
You got it, Brian. You got it.
Reciprocate. See, I told you.
Yeah, because Brian's judgment is so wise.
See?
I agree.
Okay, John, you
Got the wrong shoes on tonight.
Need waiters.
Well, what we're gonna do is, after we have the first reading, Tim will refer it to the planning commission, right, John?
Yes. Yeah. So, you want to take some more time to consider it, Brian?
No, I'm good with it. I just
Okay.
looking at it. Just trying to keep going. You're fine.
Okay. Item number 2, Thornwood Drive. ODOT has sent the contract for the city. It's given the amount that we have to appropriate, and it's also forwarded a final resolution that we would need to approve as well. So I have actually, for item number 2, legislative requests, 2 of them for Thornwood Drive. The first one is to appropriate, the $105,456 from capital improvements. It can change if you want to take it from the street fund or something like that. You can always modify this and take it, whatever you want to take it from. $105,456. That's our match for the entire project. We would have to submit that with the signed contract that is attached to this. It's the standard normal ODOT contract, 3 copies of it.
Why did this get moved up?
It actually didn't get moved up. We're selling the project in January, and if you remember at the last couple of council meetings, you may not, at the last couple of committee meetings I mentioned that we're going to get the legislation probably around the end of the year so that it's approved, passed, and the check made out and sent to them before they sell it. Since they're selling it in January, they need to get the contract and the check from us by January 3rd.
You say,
Well, then I'm thinking that, I don't know the fund balances accurately off the top of my head, but I doubt there's enough in the license plate tax to cover that.
I
We have to
don't.
take that from capital
Okay.
improvements.
you
So,
say it's 2 legislative requests.
yes, that's the first one. Because ODOT forwards us not only the contract to sign, the second thing they forward to us is a resolution basically stating that we are going to put this in according to ODOT's terms, and we've already designed it to ODOT's terms.
This is my input.
The reason why I'm saying that, John, is because the paving projects that we did, were paid for out of the street fund. So, I mean, that was a year ago.
So it hasn't been built up, we exhausted all the money.
I don't think.
That's why I used just the capital improvement, because I didn't walk, but I didn't think we had enough in there. So,
Hey, John,
yes, sir.
this is for paving from where to where, or?
From actually a portion of Newark, and Newark will reimburse us their match, from Fay Drive
Fay.
all the way to the
Think
connector
about the
road.
finance tonight.
We would have liked to go on all the way to Beaver Run. We just didn't have enough money left to cover it,
Did you sign?
and that's not in bad shape though.
Yeah.
So what would Newark's match be then? They're gonna, so we're getting 705 back from Newark.
Well, we won't actually know Newark's match. I can give you a rough idea, it's probably gonna be around $12,000.
Not much, but okay.
Yeah, not much, because they have a very small section, it's only half the road.
We can't charge them double or something.
If it were more than that, they wouldn't be able to give Tim a raise next year.
That's
so.
true.
Then in the minutes, Tim's getting a raise.
And we are covering the county's portion of the match, because the county is actually, they covered the cost to have a new culvert installed, and they're taking care of all of the culverts and bridges on Thornwood. So our agreement is with them that we will take care of the surface of the road, so we'll cover their portion of that. So it will go out to bid in January. We anticipate paving sometime in April. And the second item attached to that is, as I said, it's actually a resolution stating that we will follow ODOT's guidelines for designing and overseeing the project, which we always do.
Again, this is Fay to Beaver Run.
Yeah, from the connector road to Fay Drive. The
Who's the track?
yeah, originally tracked as the connector road. Yeah,
Right.
same thing.
That's official, man. Didn't we change that to originally track then?
Okay,
I think we have.
I'm old now, and
Just for simplicity's
I'm not gonna
sake.
change, yeah.
County Road 000.
0, that's even easier to remember, it's a fallback for me, yes. That's my fallback.
I caught it quite often.
Quad up for a
Yeah.
while.
How long? Named for how many students last year started in April?
No, only a few ever got it through.
I would
There's some guys are feeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Project still sitting
And
That's
then
right.
asphalt there. So you're probably looking at, I'm guessing,
We did.
overall, probably a 2-week project. Now, the road won't be closed, it will be down to 1 lane. There might be temporary 15-minute closures and stuff like that, it won't be closed, like we did for culvert replacements and stuff like that. And all we're really doing is paving it. We're not widening it, we're not putting any turn lanes or anything like that, it's just resurfacing and striking.
This is to get us through until they really start working on it.
If we do go to the widening project, this will get us probably, knowing Thornwood Drive, about 8 years of life. Probably.
That's what the WPA grid's being replaced by the county, right?
Yes,
We call it,
you're right,
right?
yes. And what we're doing is we're chipping at that project. We're chipping away at it little by little. So, we're doing a little improvement here, a little improvement there.
Super 2.
Yep, so when it comes time for that, and every time we do something out there, we get more right of way. And the right of way will be an expensive cost for the project. So, over time, every time we get the opportunity, we throw more stuff into a project than normal to make it prepared for the widening when that day comes.
Brian's gonna check for any Danny bats before we.
Did we, refresh my memory as it comes to right away. Did we get approval on the exception regarding the berm width and therefore the amount of right of way that would be needed if we ever did that?
It's called a design exception, and believe it or not, there's no response to that yet. It was sent back to us, to Joe Sanderson, they responded, and that was 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And so I've got to check where that is. That's kind of been in limbo. I need to check. I don't really have a good, honest answer for you, but it's not completed yet. Any other questions on that? If not, since I'm on the roll asking for money, As you probably noticed, if you've gone down Irvingwood Drive, between the railroad tracks and Thornwood, it's now paved. And that was done with community development block grant money. We do have a match that we have to supply them with. The match was around $28,000. However, the project came in about $4,700 under budget. So the amount we have to appropriate to cover our share is $24,499.77. So this is a request to appropriate that amount, and I just use capital improvements again for that. So we can refund that to the Licking County Planning Commission. So it took about 3 years, but Thornwood Drive was entirely paved and went into the city of the other.
So by the time we get all the addition and subtraction, we're up $4,000.
4,700.
47, yeah. We're good. That doesn't happen.
Yeah. From
No, it
railroad
doesn't.
tracks down to Thornwood.
They did a good job on that.
Yeah, they did.
I like it.
I don't
never
know.
did.
I don't know, how long it'll hold up, but they did a good job.
They cut out all the bad portions, especially around the edges of the curves of the road. They, when they raised all the valves and manholes, they put concrete around it, stuff like that. So, yeah, they did. I was impressed with how they
She
did.
really remember that one big tree. Really come down.
I'd like to see him.
What company did that, John, again?
Small piece.
Small.
Yeah.
Is that a new business out on the left as you go across the road?
Yeah, it is. It's a little, a couple of women run it. It's for like a, I don't want to say flea market, but one step above that, kind of like finders keepers, on a smaller scale.
Oh, right. My wife asked me what it was, I said,
Oh, they had to go before the BZBA to get it.
that was for sure.
Anything else? We're done. Item number 4 is basically legislation requesting that money be transferred within the zoning department to balance budgets, which have a negative balance at this time. So when we hit the end of the year, everything is in the black for the zoning department. I'm not asking for additional money to be put into the zoning department, just money that's currently within it transferred. So that's what this is. I've got 3 accounts, the phone account, the membership account, and the equipment account that are in the red, and I'd like to put them in the black by transferring money from another area and zoning into those.
Brian, you okay with that too, aren't you?
So this just really lessens our cleanup.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
Right?
it's cutting Becky some slack.
Any questions on that? Then item number 5 is essentially the same thing for the service department. I've got one account that's in the red. I'm asking that money be transferred within the service department, just to compensate for that. And I don't think I've ever presented 5 ordinances or legislation before, so it's kind of a record for me. I kind of hated to do it, because that means at the next meeting, 2 of them, by the way, 2 of them, the ones for ODOT, the contract and the resolution, I'm going to ask that they be passed on a first reading at the December 16th council meeting. I'll bring that up again.
Wait a minute, the contract and the resolution, you talking about the funding for Thornwood?
Yes, that's what the contract, yeah, yeah. So we can get that taken care of.
What do we need a resolution?
The resolution, ODOT always requires a resolution. In the past, what we've done is we've included the resolution and the contract within one document. However, the last time we did this, Dave Morrison spotted an error, so we separate them now into 2 different ones. So, but we always have a resolution stating that, yes, we're gonna follow the ODOT's terms and conditions. We also have a contract saying the city is going to pay them this amount of money. The contract's essentially saying we're gonna, pay for the money, pay for the project. The resolution is we're gonna do it their way. Any other questions? If not, item number 6. The State Route 79 median is having problems. I'm gonna talk about 2 different things. First of all, ODOT was told by the landscaper who put in all of the landscape material that in November, that would replace the trees that are dead and any damaged bushes. That wasn't done. ODOT sent me an email last week saying they've been in contact with this guy, and he now said he's gonna do it in the next couple of weeks. Based on the mayor's suggestion, I've called a local landscaper and I'm waiting for him to get back with me, asking, is that too late to be doing this year? So, which really burns me up because we wanted it done this fall. And this landscape, ODOT has been trying to get this done. It's not ODOT's fault. It's this contractor that, the subcontractor really, who does the landscaping, that is just not responding very well. They know they have to do it, they've agreed to do it, but they're just dragging their heels. It's beginning to burn me up. And we wanted it done. ODOT wants it done because they want to close the project out. They can't close it out until everything is done. So these people are goofing around with us and ODOT at the same time. Also, another problem we're having is with the banner posts. The arms are actually breaking off the posts. That's serious. Now, what's happened in the past is they're actually screwed into the posts. They become unscrewed and they fall to the ground. And our parks people who put the banners up have been screwing them back in as tight as they can get them. They still come unscrewed. Now, two problems. In two cases, the socket that you screw these into is broken, so they can't reinstall the arms. So we have two posts where you can't even put a banner on them now. And the second thing is that every arm is supposed to have a chain or a cord going through it into the post, so that if it does break or sever, it doesn't fall and hit the ground. It just dangles by the post. 4 out of the past 5 arms that we've had to reattach or couldn't attach did not have these chains or cords. So we provided all this information to ODOT, and they're going back to the manufacturer to see if something can be done. Now, I look at the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is it's not going to be resolved with the manufacturer or the contractor. Now, I'm not saying it won't, but I look at worst case. The worst case is it's actually a relatively simple situation where we just weld these things back on instead of screwing them on. But we've talked with ODOT about it. They don't have a problem with that solution, but they don't want us to do it yet because they want to try and get resolution with the contractor and the manufacturer. However, what that means is it's getting too dangerous to put these banners on because you don't know when the arms are going to fall off. So the mayor and I discussed it today, and I emailed Becky. We're going to take down the fall banners, and we've got Becky just
Just finished.
Dwayne busted their butt to get some really nice Christmas banners done, and we're not going to put them up because it's just not safe to do it. You may be able to hang them someplace, I'm not sure where yet. We'll find a place, I hope.
Well, who did the bridge? It's beautiful.
The bridge was,
Friendship Club.
oh yeah, I'll get to that in a minute, if I can help you there. But anyway, we're very, very disappointed in the quality of those. And again, ODOT is also disappointed, and I'm not throwing this on ODOT, they're really trying to help us. So I just wanted to give you an update on that. Any questions? Yes, sir.
I just go through my 2 cents worth in. Those banner poles were almost the difference between Kikosin getting the project and Shelley Shelley that got the project. Because all the other companies bid like $7,000 to $10,000 per pole.
Yeah.
And the Shelley company only bid like a few $100s per pole. And you multiply the number of poles, and they got it by just a few $1,000s difference.
Yeah.
Had they gone the other way, then if we'd had Kikosin's water project was $100,000 cheaper. So the city could have saved $100,000 if the other people would bid more for the pole. So if they bought real cheap poles, I have no problem making them buy expensive
Right.
poles because it cost us money in the first place
You ain't
because of
do
that.
On the water
So
line.
on the water line. So if they bought a real cheap pole and didn't do the right specs and everything, and if they have to replace every single one of them with a brand new foundation and a brand new pole, more power to them, because I think they tried to cheat. I mean, and maybe they just did a lower bid on that because they didn't know what they were bidding on, or the project or whatever. But if you add up all the bid spec, the numbers, and then you put in Kikosin's number to their number, that was the difference in the bid. Now, there's other prices, there was difference too, but I'm just saying that one item almost made the difference. It cost us $100,000 different in the water side project.
And what makes this hard to bear is that the median was a hard thing to sell to council, to the public. And it was done to showcase the city. It's not doing that. And so let's see, I agree with Tim, everything he's saying is how I remember it as well. But let's see what happens. I'm looking for a made in China stamp, to tell you the truth. That's how much I think it is.
I'm wondering, I understand the idea that we talked about this morning as far as welding the poles on. But I'm not sure that solves the base root problem, which is that there appears to be too much torque on the rod connecting into the pole, either to where it's screwing it out or it's snapping it off or whatever. I mean, welding it might make it better, might make it last longer, but that same torque is going to be on that connection, and eventually that weld will probably give way the way that they're giving way now.
Well, we've talked to Dr. Signs about this too. Some of the signs are actually ripped. One or two of the signs I've got in my office, I mean, the reason they came off the poles is they actually ripped.
Okay.
The arms held, but the sign actually ripped.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how much tension.
What is causing them to back out, to vibration from traffic?
Well, I think
Wind.
what it is the wind hits them, and every time you get a gust of wind, even though the arms are in tightly, they're screwed in, and the screws are probably in a direction that when the wind hits it, just minutely, fractionally, it might turn an arm. Even if you got in, they put these things back in with pipe wrenches, and shows you how much force is hitting them. Because that, the other part is there's not a lot of thread. There's only about an inch of thread on these things, which isn't enough to put the arm in securely. So
These poles are designed for decorative, they're not functional.
well, I'll tell you what, they
It sounds like they're designed for somebody's backyard.
yeah.
I don't get it.
Just decorative, they're not a functional
Yeah.
banner hanging behind a
And
But
then,
this
like
sign-
John said earlier, since there's no chain in there,
Yeah.
when they do cut loose, rather than just, being dangling there where we can go send somebody to reattach it.
Exactly.
Yeah, now we got
That's it.
something, yeah.
And
You know,
So,
when we built that,
Or go
Vietnam
back,
Veterans
banner,
sign
yeah.
Well,
and
mayhem.
Miller Park.
That'd be mayhem being there.
that's why we don't think it's a smart idea to put the holiday banners up until we can solve
Right,
this
so what we're,
problem.
and now Dr. Signs, the second generation of banners that they built for us, they actually tried to compensate for that. These are much looser than the first generation of banners. But even that wasn't enough. So we've got to work on the problem here. I think the root cause, though, is the design of the banner posts themselves. It's just defective. It's
Well,
just-
then they don't have the chains.
no,
Yeah.
that alone, and they're supposed to, even ODOT said that, and one of them had a chain. So that shows you something.
Who's supposed to do this?
We need to cut
The wind slits,
ODOT
that's,
is the
Now,
inspector.
do you have to
So the burden
do you have
for
to
accountability falls on
stitch a
them.
little bit
Yes.
where it is
Because
so
they have
that
an
the
inspector
wind
on
flat
site
doesn't just keep
review
tearing?
well,
Specifications
that's,
Yes.
of a.
that's why we hadn't tried wind slits
Yeah.
yet, because
Yeah.
it's gonna
Yeah.
defeat
Put 'em
They're
up.
allowed to put 'em
using
up.
the banner
No
again,
one
probably, it's
inspects
gonna
it.
cause a
You
little
got
bit more of that.
Yeah.
Definitely those hard
What
winds.
probably happened is the
didn't
inspector
do
was there,
these
the one that put the
justice,
chain
but
in.
we did
He's
talk
probably there
about
and saw
wind
it go
slits.
in,
Dwayne's
And
just
then he went
afraid
to
it's
lunch or
gonna
went to another
then
site or whatever. And
compromise
he
the
came back and he
banner
goes, you did the other
overall.
same way? Yeah, they're all
He's
done.
willing to
Okay.
try it, I mean,
I mean,
I've
hold
got
them
them
right
with
over
me,
their eyes,
the
you
new
know.
banners with me,
The
and
only
we're
thing-
willing
There's
to
not
try
an
it, we
inspector
were
there
gonna try to
24/7
decide whether
looking
to
at
do
every single thing.
diamonds,
He's down one
maybe
end
the
and
diamonds wouldn't rip
do that
as
kind of
easy as
stuff.
the
I
round.
think we could
But
address
we
a
don't
lot
do
of
any
causes
stitching,
for this,
so.
but the one thing we don't have to address is we're the victim here. You know, there are probably multiple causes, but we are the victim. And it just burns me.
But it's all the fancy stuff. I mean, the functional reason for this whole project is for safety.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not.
Oh, no, no.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
And-
what- I'm not,
Yeah.
You fancied it up
Yeah,
with
yeah.
brick.
No. Well, yeah, and I mean, Tony, I think, shared the data that shows that
Right.
from that standpoint, it's doing
It was
its job.
successful.
But
It's
part of
just-
it too is
yeah.
is that this should be a nice
Showcase.
entranceway
It should.
into the city.
I'd love to see it go much further from a safety
Yeah.
perspective, and it's a nice boulevard looking appearance.
Well, my problem
I
is,
do.
is really personal with this, because this whole project has been a
Yeah, I
struggle
see
for
it.
me.
Yeah.
Every little bit, every little component, and it was just as much of a struggle getting this done. The contractor was not the best person to work with. I had a lot of ins and outs with ODOT, and it was a struggle every day, a fight, every day. And then you get to this point where it should be done, it should look nice, and we still have things coming up. That's what bugs me.
Well, really, you've got a legitimate warning item of, we called them on that 6 months ago, and they're slow walking this tree replacement into a time of climate that is not conducive
Yeah.
to replacing trees.
Well, that's what it makes no sense to me to stick a new tree into frozen ground. I don't
You're
get
just
that at
asking
all.
for.
And there's got to be a reason. I don't think there's not a drastic climate change that I'm aware of in between Go Clean and Putnam. I mean, this is not that southernmost island. The vegetation has done really well in that one. I mean, the tall grass is growing and the flowers were blooming and blah blah blah.
Chris May's going out and taking care of it.
Is that what he's doing? Thank you, Chris. But the middle one and then that northern one, yeah, I was gonna say, whatever it is he's doing, like, we have the reverse effect of what he wants.
I'll make sure
But
he
that
reads
middle
that.
one and that northernmost one, it looks like
It does.
garbage. And it almost makes me wonder, did they use like radioactive soil? What did they do? Because it's different.
I still wonder, I went out there, John, but the different days, I drive by every day and stuff and look, I still don't think they actually dug down and took out the material that was down underneath there. I think they just dug holes for the trees, and I don't know if there's good soil.
You mean through the pavement?
Well, through all the pavements, because you remember
Well,
when they did that.
They did remove everything.
Yeah, because remember we had cars that couldn't seem to.
Well,
not turn left.
but they'll get stuck in that much. I'm just saying.
No, they were getting. It was a drop off like from here to the floor. It was a.
Yeah, but I'm saying if for a tree and everything else, you got to go down deep. I mean,
But those
But
roots
79 was
haven't
built,
gone
you know.
deep enough yet to do that. I mean, they wouldn't have had
well, I'm
time
just saying
to
if
do
it was hard pan, if the ground is hard pan and the water can't leach out and stuff, you can actually drown a tree
Right.
with water
Yeah.
just when the roots lay in water, and it can't get away. You know what I'm saying? So if you have all this asphalt concrete and hard surface and the water goes in there, it's just like trying to grow a tree in a bathtub. You put all the soil you want in there and it's not going to grow because the water it's saturated. You actually, the roots can't breathe. They can't get oxygen because they're covered with water. And that's what I wondered if it isn't, don't get the leaching
The
out.
landscape contractor who's hired to do this, if he doesn't like the condition of the soil or the location where these are planted, it's his responsibility to say this isn't right, because he's responsible for replacing it again and again and again.
It's in that fly ash and tell manure.
Yeah.
No. We'll just take the trees out.
Well, anyway, that's where we stand on it. Any more questions? If not, item number 7, I think you're where Eddie Hunt applied for and got a grant from ODNR, and he oversaw this whole project. And this was not an easy project to oversee because it had multiple participants. None of them seemed to be able to get together simultaneously to do what they had to do, but Eddie worked through it. The playground equipment is now installed. He did an excellent job. We did get a really good deal on fly ash and manure to put down this. So that should keep them out of the playground.
Go have fun, kid.
Yeah, we shouldn't have any damage to the equipment for a long time. But I want to,
Sparsely attended.
yeah, but I want to congratulate Eddie. He did an extremely good job. This was really his first project from beginning to end. He did a very nice job on that.
You did.
And one other thing I wanted to say, if you don't, and Cletus brought it up, the Fellowship Club of Licking County, Friendship Club, decorated the building, and We helped them to decorate the bridge. And Kessler Sign Company actually put an electrical connection on the digital sign that we could connect extension cords to, so we could power the stuff on the bridge. And, you know, thank you to Kessler Sign Company. And the outside of the building, I mean, we don't resemble the square by a long shot, but it certainly looks very nice. And the people in the Friendship Co. use a lot of their own money to get this stuff. So their big event is this Thursday, and they appreciate the city offering them the opportunity to do this. The weather's going to be rainy probably, so they're a little concerned about it. But anyway, I want to thank you folks for bearing up with not being able to use the coffee.
And I think for the Halloween one, I can't think of any cost that we had into it at all, other than turning the lights on.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, the city doesn't have hardly any cost in this either.
For this one, I know we bought some new extension cords, which
We put
we'll
some
be able
outlets
to
out,
put some
yeah.
ones out, you know,
Yeah.
get rid of some
Pictures
ones
last
that are
night.
older.
And we put
And
some
we put
outlets
some
on
outlets
outside.
out front, which really we'll be able to use for.
We needed them all
Exactly.
the time anyway, so.
I mean, we really,
Even the bridge is being lit on Kessler's meter,
they dropped the line.
Kessler's meter.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
he's paying for it.
I mean, we really haven't.
He's a friend to one of them in the group.
Doesn't really have anything issues with
Yeah.
that.
So,
Hopefully Thursdays, I think it's supposed to rain.
I don't know, we'll see.
But if it's anything like Halloween event was, it would be a very big success.
I know.
So,
I had to back out part of the job. Elder Beerman scheduled me to work.
oh yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
is that right?
Yeah. But anyway, any questions on anything else? If not, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. And it's been a great year working with you. I have enjoyed it very much, most of the time. Not all the time, yeah. You're a great group of people. You continue to do a fantastic job for the citizens of this city, and I know they'll never appreciate it. No, I just got to last 18 more months. But no, you guys, you know, you never hear it. All you hear is criticism, and you guys deserve a lot of credit, and you never get it. So I guess that's the way it is, and you accept that as part of your jobs. But you've done a great job this year, looking at everything that's happened in the city on a positive note. Hardly anything that's negative. So congratulations and kudos to all of you.
John and Eddie have been probably more busy this year than I've seen you guys in the 4 years that I've been mayor.
Well, that's
That's,
good, the recession.
that's not a backhanded compliment.
No.
That's because you know there's been more requests in for reviews, for permits, for everything really as it relates to the building and zoning department, and that's a good thing for the city. And you know, from my perspective, I think John and Eddie have done a really good job, and I think in particular Eddie continues to develop his skill set, and you know, as kind of John related to on the Geller Park playground project, you know, we continue to try to expand his role and get him involved in new things. So they've been busy, and they've done a great job this year in 2013. I think we should all acknowledge that. So thank you.
That's all I've got.
You have anything? Anybody else? It's over. Next.
Finance time?
6:05, please. I can't. I got mine. I'm in an angle. What time is it?
That's 6:05.
6:05.
Kim, do you want to say that?
Sit
This
here,
is the hot seat.
No, I don't want to.
I have.
It is warm back here.
Yeah, I know.
Excuse me?
Sun's connected to my office, and I got a thing in my office.
Everybody got a copy that wants a copy?
Did you get a copy?
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
Oh, I was in the meeting.
Finance Committee at 6:05. Legislative request one, inclusion of digital signs and codified ordinances. Already went over in development. Please,
They're rolled up
you
and
have no other comments or any other comments about that? Second item, appropriate city match for Thornwood Drive paving project, which is $105,456. Any comments? Third item, transfer funding within the zoning department budget.
He's also had that legislative request, which would have been like 2A, since John split that one into two. Your Thornwood Drive. Remember, he had two, he had the resolution also. You would call it 2A or
Authorize the
something.
mayor to bring a final resolution of the ODOT's regarding terms, conditions.
Yeah, that's not actually on your finance agenda, that's why I said you want to call it 2A or something.
Does that, okay.
Under other.
I was gonna say, does that involve finance?
The resolution.
We do a lot of stuff that doesn't involve finance right there.
It's a resolution.
If he just wants to check it off and
We're
sign
not
it.
spending
yeah,
money.
Not
Yeah.
spending money, so it really doesn't need to be on finance, but if there's a line there for him to sign it.
Any other comments on that particular request?
Now you
Zoning
can
department
do
budgets, the preliminary cleanup ordinance kind of stuff here. Zoning department is $1,135. To go to one account, $700, another one, $315 to balance those accounts out. Any other comments on this? You didn't see them today, you would have seen them in 2 weeks, correct?
Sure.
And $500 from service department, balance of account. One account to an overtime account.
But we're not gonna charge anyone for these.
New development block grant match on Ringwood Drive West. $24,499.77. Moving money back and forth, we're up a big $4,800, I think we said. Any comments? Jump to number 7, we'll hit the budget. $995 capital improvements, Layton contract for drainage ditch cleanup at 1872 Berkshire Drive. Any comments about that?
I ran into that guy, property owner,
Aaron
That's a
Keller?
preach.
was it last week that I was at the Dennison?
No, you're here, right?
That's,
I think it was last
Aaron
week.
Kelly? That the name on this?
Yes.
yeah.
Aaron Kelly storm this stuff?
On that invoice, it may reference like piping or whatever, that's what the property owner paid for. Ours was just the cleanup.
Just the
of
cleaning of the ditch.
Yeah, yeah.
We cleaned the ditch and then he paid for everything else.
Yeah.
And we installed the pipe too, right? And the catch basin?
That was what he paid for.
He paid for the installation, he paid for the pipe, and he paid for it to be installed.
We just cleaned all the soot
All
that
we
built
did-
up in
Yeah,
there.
all
we
the
trenched,
silt and all
we
the-
basically trenched it and graded it.
Cleaned all the brush and everything.
Which
that was
we
in
were
there.
obligated.
Well, the description is not quite correct on this.
Well, that was the job that Layton did. Layton did all of that.
Layton did the
The
whole.
property
work.
owner paid for some of the items described in their description.
Our
We're paying
portion
for
was
the cleanup. And
To read this, looks like we paid for it all.
yeah, that's why Bob mentioned that in the department head meeting.
Okay. Any other comments that need to be made referencing this? Okay, on to the little stuff, 2014 budget.
I gave you all a copy, it's coming back for the drafted budget for next year. You've got a revenue estimate, you've got a general fund budget, those are the 110 line items, and then you have an other than general fund budget. I want to mention, I'm pretty sure you're all aware, but Becky McComb is new to the position. Linda Richards has been working with her and training her, and Becky did quite good work on this, I believe, and I think that her training in that position is coming along nicely. I think we can feel confident that we will continue to get excellent work produced from that position. Heath, you concur?
Absolutely.
Obviously, my calendar is open for the next couple of weeks. If you would like to schedule something to have any discussions on the budget, I'll give you some of the just from a 30,000 foot perspective. General fund revenue, we're estimating at a little over 6.8 million, 6.826 is what we're estimating in general fund revenue. That, correct. That's the total for general fund revenues. That is working off an estimate of tax receipts of 5.8 million for 2013. I'm sorry, 14. To give you a comparison with 2013 through November 2013, we are on pace to collect more than $6 million in tax revenue in 2013. If we have the same month of December in 13 that we had tax revenue the month of December in 12, that should put us up above the $6 million figure. And over the past 11 months, on a fairly consistent basis, our tax receipts for the month in 13 have been greater than the tax receipts for that same month in 12, to the point that through the first 11 months of 13, we are slightly more than $500,000 more in tax collections than we were through November of 2012. So again, the way that we structure the budget for your approval is that we try to be conservative in our estimate for revenue. We try to be aggressive in our estimate for spending, and that continues to be the case with this budget. I mentioned general fund revenue for 14. We're estimating at $6,826,000. Total, if you look at the last page of the general fund budget, total general fund budget expenditures budgeted for are $7.2 million. This represents a difference of about 300, and this is an estimate, but in the ballpark of $375,000. To compare this with the 2013 budget that was approved in December of 2012, I think we had structured the revenue and the expenditures that it was in the red about 450,000, maybe 475, something like that.
455 sticks in my mind.
Okay. So, still applying our thinking of conservative on the revenue, aggressive on the spending. This budget is structured more favorably than our 2013 budget was structured. I'm optimistic that when all is said and done in February, that we'll see that 2013 we brought in more than we spent, but we still have some time to go. You know, we don't want to, you know, overcommit to that. But right now, that's what it's. Right now, that's what it's looking like. That's the 30,000-foot view. Yes.
Question. What was our budget? Do you remember a rough idea what our budget for 2013 was?
7 million. I want to say it was between 7 million and 7,050,000.
Okay, so it hasn't really gone up that much.
No.
And
Most of the increases are due to, I think I had Debbie estimate a 1% payroll increase. We also are budgeting to put more money in the per employee into our insurance fund than what we did last year. I want to say, I'm sure Keith knows this. I want to say, Keith, in 2012, for 2012, we budgeted to put 8,000 per employee in. For 2013, we budgeted 9,000 per employee, and for 14, we're budgeting 9,500. Does that sound right? Okay. So, yeah. The vast majority of total general fund expenditures are related to personnel costs. When you look at the difference between what we budgeted for last year and what we're budgeting for this coming year, those are the two areas that jump out at me of where there would have been increases.
okay, I'm trying to get something straight in my head then here too. Now, I know our tax collections are going to have a good year this year from what we're talking about.
We're looking good.
Now, didn't we take some money, not too long ago, didn't we take some money out of that budget stabilization to bring us to the $2 million mark?
Yeah.
We did that.
And
That was that was in the first few months of 13.
right, that way, when you get a end of year revenue report, if the end of year balance in the general fund is above $2 million, you'll know you ended up in the year with black ink.
Do you anticipate we'll have to do that again in 14?
Actually, if you follow my suggestion, if you got black ink in the general fund end of year carryover, rather than, you wouldn't need to take money from budget stabilization to make it whole. I'm gonna suggest you take money out of it and put it in the capital improvement fund.
Out of what?
General fund.
Out of the general fund.
Out of the general fund.
Above the 2 million. If it's above the 2 million.
So you guys will start with $2 million again. It'd be a nice, easy thing to remember. And that's what I'd do with it if I were you. We don't know where it's gonna land.
Yeah, that's what's going to help drive that conversation,
Right.
is where exactly we're at. You know.
That's a decision you'll need to make then.
But what I'm saying is if we finish in the black this year, then no, we would not have a transfer. Would be needed.
Do you have any kind of a rough list of projected capital improvements?
Yeah, John's, well, actually, I had on for next year, John's Thornwood paving, so,
Should be a good
For zoning department,
Other yellow phone.
I mean, it's not any of this stuff, right?
no, that's separate.
Right.
For the zoning department, John had listed the Thornwood paving. Their pickup truck is also, it's 17 years old, and when the passenger door flew open when making the left-hand turn, perhaps that's something that we need to consider replacing in the near future. Now, Bob Geller also has a new department head vehicle for him, and his Jeep is, let's see, the air conditioning doesn't work. I know we had to spend more in repairs on that this year than we did the year before. I can't remember how old that thing is, but it's old too. One of the things that we did, and in hindsight, I'm kind of
road hard.
oh yeah. So one of the things that we did, and I, in hindsight, of course, hindsight's always 20/20. I regret that we did this now. We had impounded a vehicle. It was an SUV, and would have probably made a very adequate replacement for Bob. And what we did instead was, we sold it at auction. And like I said, in hindsight, I would do that differently now. I would have said, let's not sell that vehicle, let's get it to Bob and have him use that as his vehicle. So the dump truck, the pickup truck for John and Eddie needs replaced. Bob's vehicle needs replaced. And I think what we're going to try to do, and I'll ask the police department to try to help, is to, let's try to identify an impound in each case that would be a good fit to replace those. They both are running as of today, so there isn't an immediate need to replace them. So if we do impound a pickup truck and take possession of it, that might be the way to go. The vehicle that they currently have was impounded. That's how they obtained it. So that's the approach that we're going to try to take on those two vehicles.
Police cars.
Police cars. Tony has a request for 3. We need a new K9 car. A request of 3 would be at
Indigent.
a request of if we were to replace, if we were to bring on 3 new Dodge Chargers, Lieutenant Mason has that estimated at being just south of $95,000. I'm more inclined right now to say let's do 2. Let's plan for 2 next year. Now, depending on where the numbers come out for this year, we'll see if we've got some flexibility there. We do need a new K9 car. That needs to be addressed. And then I would say let's replace 1 more as well. That's what I would plan for, and then we'll see where we're at the end of the year. In the parks, I mentioned Bob had the department head vehicle. He also has on here to seal parking lots in all parks. And he also has to seal and stripe the parking lot at the pool. And John Roth also had to seal the parking lot here. The total of those 3 jobs would be $85,000. So, I take that. Yeah, I take that back. 35, 55, $60,000 is what that would be. Now, Bob also has on here for part the roof of the park, the shop there at Geller Park needs to be repaired and replaced. He has an estimate of $50,000 for that. We've talked before about the leak at the pool the parks, the shed there.
Is that a pole barn?
Yeah, back in the back. That's what he has. Geller Park shop roof. Estimate 50,000.
Yeah, but you rip it down and build a new one.
Yeah.
That's a lot for a roof.
We can ask him where he got that estimate. We can ask him where he got that estimate from, but I'm working under the assumption that he did his homework and that's not just a number that he pulled out of the sky. Also, we've talked before about the leak in the pool that's somewhere in between the new filter building and the Lazy River or the activity pool or wherever. He has down to a $30,000 cost for that repair. In my mind, rather than the parking lots, I would rather see those two maintenance items be addressed. That would be my recommendation, how I would move forward, because the leak at the pool is not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. It's not going to get any easier to find. And until we find it, we're spending money on water that we don't need to be spending. Although the pool parking lot could use resurfacing or resealing and striped, I don't place that above needing to get this leak taken care of. And we've tried a couple of different times the past 2 years to find out where this thing's at and address it, and we haven't. We need to solve this problem, and it's going to be costly, but we need to solve the problem. In the street department, we've all talked before about how they need a new dump truck. We replaced the bed in the one dump this year. They've got the other dump truck that's not going to be the solution, that it needs to be replaced. He has $100,000 for that, and I would recommend that we move forward with replacing that dump. We could end up with a situation where we don't have enough equipment to get things handled from a snow and ice removal standpoint. If Chief Huggins, and he may very well have given me one of these, and I may have misplaced it, but I've asked him to give me another copy of his capital improvement expenditure requests for 2013. I'm sure it will include a medic. I'm not sure what else, but I've asked him I left him a message earlier today to get me another copy of that. So, and the only other items, and they're smaller. We took out a couple of trees here at the city building that were dead, replacing those for a couple thousand, and then also the mower that is used for this is starting to show some age. It's going to need some maintenance items, tune-up hydraulics checks, new tires. We need to at least plan for the idea of it not being worth spending the money on upkeep of the current mower and replacing it. John has an estimate on that for $12,000. So that's kind of roughing it out for you. That's kind of what we're looking at as far as capital improvements. And again, it'd be interesting for us to see how the books close for 2013.
The capital improvements, and maybe it's just too early to ask a question, I don't know, but do you think there's an opportunity to where you may, or are you considering increasing the percentage that we're putting into that fund? Whether you want to answer that now or not, that's fine. The other question is, when you look at all the improvement projects that you just kind of outlined there, the ones that, if you take all the ones that you really would like to do, is there going to be enough going into the fund to cover that? Are we going to, that's the rate we're putting into the fund, there's not enough going to be there, but is there enough in it to cover it right now?
Well, at 3%, 5.8, what would that be?
$180,000.
Maybe, I was gonna say about 170. Is that right? If it was 6 million, that'd be 180. So, yeah, about 170. The dump truck's at 100. The shop, the Gallup Park shop and the leak repair at the pool, those total up to 80. And then I mentioned the police cars, if we go with 2, we're at mid-60s. So we'd be less than $100,000 shy of that with the 3% that we put in. If that was all that we.
If you only decide to go back to the 3%, we would actually deplete the fund some.
Yeah.
Based on what we put in it.
Yeah.
And you don't have that answer yet, probably on where you're gonna go yet. Capital approval.
No.
Okay. That's fine.
Well, I think it's a matter of how you want the numbers to look on paper. If we put another 3% in, then subtract
Just
another
necessarily cut it.
85,000 from your revenue estimate.
Gotcha, okay.
Or
in fact, wait and see
Heath's
what.
idea of let's see where we end the year, and maybe it makes some sense to transfer some of that carryover into capital improvements. Obviously, we could do that exercise again next year if we're in a similar situation.
Thank you.
Yep.
Just for that piece of idea. Still a moving target, but let's at least see the target.
Yes. And like I said, if you have any questions or, we'll sit down and discuss whatever. If you have any questions as it relates to the budgets for your departments that are under your particular committees, I can bring the department head into those conversations as well, if you like, or department heads in the case of Okay.
Anything else?
Well, I did want to have Kim, and appreciate you coming. I did want to have Kim update everyone. Our amnesty program was completed, a couple weeks ago, maybe? November 15th? Okay. And I thought maybe you'd all like to hear some of the information and the results of that, so we asked Kim to.
First, I wanted to thank the mayor and Heath and council for going along and approving of the amnesty program, letting us do that. I appreciate it. And our cost really was just about a little over $200 for the flyers that we put in with the water bills. But we felt it was pretty successful. We actually got money in a little over $32,000.
What was that outrageous disruption?
That's radio.
I'm sorry.
You got 32,000?
Yeah, that we took in, and of course it ran for about a month. And then on some of the filings that were filed, we allowed them to set up like a payment plan. So expected money that's still out there that should be coming in as long as the owner will be around another $15,000. So about $47,000, $49,000 if we altogether we did. So I feel like it was really, well worth it. And this is just the number of returns. I guess we're going to go back. The mayor wanted us to calculate like exactly how many people or residents or whatever actual accounts that they did, because the number I'm giving you now, it might tell you how many returns came in, but one person could have had 4 or 5 returns, but that's only one resident. So we had 340 returns, but that's not necessarily per capita or whatever you want.
Well, we talked about, as part of the idea of doing this amnesty period, was to try to help educate residents and businesses that they are required to file a return. And so I asked Kim, and she's going to try to look back and get the number. I was curious to know, how many people and businesses came in? How many people did we touch? Did we inform? By having this program. If we had 340 returns, I'm optimistic that we're probably at least 250.
Yeah, oh yeah. There was 253 residents, 76 businesses, and 11 withholding accounts, which is the other side of the business.
Wow.
Or the other, so we were really pleased with, the turnout. I think it was success, it was well worth the effort, I feel, and
So we've already received, did you say $32,000?
yeah, $32,072.
And we expect to get another 15.
Close to a 14.
Plus you've
So-
turned people that were not taxpayers into taxpayers.
Yeah.
A point that I would throw in is this was an opportunity, and there was a not so veiled threat that went with it that basically said this is an opportunity to catch up, and if you don't, we're going to come after you. And so the no more Mr. Nice Guy syndrome is about to be levied.
The hammer's gonna drop.
This was
Yeah.
the carrot, and in the other hand was the stick.
Right.
So,
Right now, we're working on the second notices to the people that didn't respond, and then from there, it tells them that, that it's subpoena, so we will take the most crucial accounts that we feel are, the most need to have them subpoenaed in first, and I'll probably after the first year or something. That's our goal.
So
So
there's some that didn't take the carrot.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I think Kim's right. At the end of the day, I think you have to consider it a success, what we did. I have zero plans of doing this again next year. I would say it will be, probably quite a while before the city has an amnesty program like this again. Like you said, we did, I think, as much as we could to make sure people understood, here is your chance. And, but I think Kim's right. I think we have to call it a success. I think it did achieve the goal that we wanted it to achieve. Like I said, that's why I'm kind of curious to know the actual number of people that came in. I do know that, the lobby was quite busy.
Yeah.
Hey, if I have, say, 10, 20 houses, rent in Heath, do I have to file an income tax?
It's rental income or off or whatever the activity may end up being scheduled.
Do those have to be separate returns on each property or combined into just the one return to be filed?
No, just be, if you're a resident, it just shows up on your resident return with, if you have W-2 wages and whatever else that may happen, it's all combined together.
Yeah. Because you'd show that on your federal return. And
But you can't subtract the Schedule E loss from wages. W-2 wages.
yeah.
You might, well, people try that. Yeah, wages is wages.
So, anybody has any questions or anything for Kim on that amnesty? Thank you to you and your staff for
Oh, yeah.
working
I
that
have a
so well.
staff. We have a
So how
really
you
good
gonna earn
group
an
of
extra
them.
50 next year?
Really, really.
Yeah, I like to say that again.
How are you gonna earn an extra 50,000 next year for it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Think about that.
People that didn't. People that did still owe.
There you go.
Go after the people that owe.
That's where 2014 subpoenas are kicking in.
Yeah.
right?
Kim's gonna be our muscle on that program. Kim's gonna make an offer that can't refuse.
John says she's pretty tough.
Anything else for finance on that note?
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Yeah, the mayor already mentioned where we were on income tax collections, and Kim was gonna mention that, but we don't need to go after that any, we're at that
I'm
500,000
sorry.
plus.
I didn't know.
That's all right.
Okay, sorry.
And just as a warning, I'm hoping this won't happen, but I'm gonna warn you that there is a possibility that to execute the cleanup ordinance, we may need a special meeting on the December 23rd. I don't think we'll have to wait till the 30th, but I'm hoping that Becky and Linda can get the cleanup ordinance done by the 16th. But I make no promises,
The backup plan will be part of the service committee.
Yeah.
There's a good possibility we may not have that service committee meeting.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's on the 23rd.
Well,
Okay.
we could always wait, if we can't get the 16th done, we can wait till the 30th. If that was a better,
Because actually, we
Better
have a
date.
meeting that day anyway.
Huh? We wouldn't have
A meeting that day
We
anyway.
just have a special council meeting scheduled for the 30th.
I was trying to do the 23rd because y'all gonna be here anyway.
Right.
But if you're not,
Does John have a light agenda, is that what you're suggesting, or it's just 2 days before Christmas?
We didn't have it last year.
We'll just see,
I think it
Keith,
was
on the
from weather
16th, we
last
can
year.
make that decision.
that's right. I expect to be able to tell you on the 16th.
If we can't do it, then we can schedule one for the 23rd or the 30th.
And I'll double verify the.
Yeah.
John.
If we're gonna have a meeting on the 23rd, then you might as well have the committee meeting too, because I mean, we're gonna be here,
Yeah.
so we can have a short, quick committee meeting.
John's gonna be here, we might as well do it.
Yeah. But if you know, if there's no reason to have it, if people are gonna be gone on vacation or anyone going away for the holidays, you'll be out of town on the 23rd?
I will be out of town.
I don't know enough about it to
On
tell
the
you.
23rd, okay. Oh, you got duties to do as
He's
handlers.
logical, though.
Oh,
I can run the meeting if that's an issue.
I mean, we'd have to just make sure we got enough to make.
You need
the
five.
vote.
We'd have to have
Yeah, we need
five.
Yeah.
that's all I have.
Anything else
Have a
for
special
finance?
council meeting to waive, yeah.
One, finance. We're shut down at 6:42.
You wanna take a break and then be back? Executive break.
You and I walk right by her.
I know, I was thinking.
Yeah.
But when I threw it across my, back seat, I slid out of the car, but stayed at home, which I didn't need it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You about got me.
Everybody run. I hope there's enough bathrooms for all of you.